We're an island nation, drawn to the sea that surrounds us. A playground for some. For others, it's where they make their living. But the sea's unpredictable. It can change in an instant.
The sea takes no prisoners. You always have to be prepared for the worst.
The sea is a beast. If you weren't anxious about it, you're not doing the right job.
The water was freezing.
I was thinking I was going to die.
There to save our lives is a volunteer army of over 5,000 ordinary people, ready to leave their jobs, their families, and race to our rescue.
Steady, steady. Go for it.
When the pagers go off, your heart stops. Is this a life and death situation?
In the water.
You're okay, pal.
Let go of the sail, mate. Let go of the sail.
Even that 1 second could make a huge difference to someone at home. 1 minute they've got a son or a daughter, the next minute they may not.
There we go. Emily, high five. Well done. Nice one.
I didn't think we'd get them back. I was just thinking, just please.
Are you the parents?
The lifeboat crew, without them, there's no doubt about it, we'd have lost our girls.
Equipped with their own cameras,
Am I switched on?
It's on.
the crews give us a unique insight into every call-out as only they see it.
Good stuff, that's it.
Speeding into the roughest storms, searching for people who may only have moments to live.
Gotcha.
For those who risk their lives, it has become a way of life.
If something goes wrong, you could be the only person between them and death.
Nestled on the coast of Somerset, in the southwest of England, is the resort of Minehead.
Minehead is a very seaside town. We get a lot of people throughout the summer, families, kids. They go down to the harbour, they go crabbing, just want to go on the beach, they want to play, and it's just about fun.
A large beachside holiday camp means that the summer months here are always busy.
The town really fills up, the whole atmosphere changes. You generally get a lot of families down and using the beaches.
While the local coast may seem tranquil, Minehead is on the southern edge of the Bristol Channel, and the seas can catch out the unwary even on the calmest day.
Our biggest risk with the sea here is we've got a very big tidal range and we get some quite fast currents. At the peak of the tidal change, it can be maybe 5 knots, and that's certainly something you can't swim against, and you'd be really lucky to paddle a kayak against it.
The speed that the tide actually travels makes searching for casualties a lot more difficult because they can end up quite far from their original location quite quickly.
Summer 2019, a warm, breezy day. School half-term has packed the town with holidaymakers. The Coast Guard has received multiple 999 calls from Minehead Beach. All the local lifeboat crew members are paged.
The first information was 2 children on an inflatable in Minehead Bay.
In recent years, inflatables on the beach seem to have become more popular, and they seem to become larger and larger. You know, the flamingos and the swans obviously are very attractive to young children, and you can see why parents buy them. And kind of looking at the weather conditions, thinking, oh, yeah, there's an offshore wind, and they do blow well in the wind.
The strong offshore breeze has already blown the 2 young children nearly half a mile out to sea. Minehead launches both its inshore lifeboats, the larger twin-engined Atlantic 85 and the more manoeuvrable D-Class. 30-year veteran volunteer Phil is at the helm of the smaller boat.
With children, clearly the atmosphere changes. We've got lots of parents on the crew.
Also kitted up and ready to go, Phil's 26-year-old son, Jake, a father himself.
Yeah, go on, jump in.
Children are more unpredictable and also more vulnerable, so it definitely changes your sort of outlook when you go to a shout with kids.
Clear, boys, yeah?
As we were launching the boat, I thought I could see where this inflatable was, and I was thinking, oh, you know, children on there, they're quite a long way out, so the immediate reaction is, you know, I hope they're holding on.
Ollie and Holly were having a fabulous day. Yeah, we all were. The water was busy. There were lots of children playing in the water, lots of people paddling, other inflatables in the water. I hadn't realised how quickly things can change from just a normal day, in fact, a really lovely day, which completely changed.
Two families are down from the Midlands for a short break at the town's holiday camp with their 5-year-old daughters Holly and Harley.
They were just splashing around down there, and we were probably playing down there 10, 15 minutes, and then Holly came down dragging this great big swan. I was like, oh. And you know, you say to kids, you say, no, you're not going on that, but then there's one already on it, and it's the usual. Well, they're on a unicorn, they're on a flamingo, so you think, oh, okay, well, just keep it here then. They were playing, just jumping up and down on this swan, and they'd made friends with a couple of other girls, and one of the girls had jumped on it, and I think she'd fell straight off the other side, head first, and was spluttering. So I just turned and just popped her back up to her feet. And it was that split second that turn around and the swan's now about 5 or 6 feet away. And, you know, there's no panic.
I was stood just in the very shallow water with Rick. As I turned round, I could see that he hadn't got hold of the swan.
So then I weighed to go towards the swan to get to it, and then another wave hits me, knocks me back, and all of a sudden it's 7 feet away. And all of a sudden I think, okay, that's not right. So just started pounding the waves, dived in to try and, you know, swim towards it, and then the panic. I'm swimming as hard as I can, and the tide's pulling me in, but the wind's also now taking this swan out. Because it's got wings, it's effectively a sailboat.
I screamed at him and others to get help because I could see that Rick was trying to swim for the swan and it was just going further and further away.
So the girls now realise that it's not fun, we're not laughing at Daddy getting wet anymore, it's serious. So I just started shouting at the girls, stay on the swan, don't get off, stay on.
A day on the beach fast became every parent's worst nightmare.
Your instinct is just to keep going, and you know, regardless, don't turn back. You whatever happens. So to actually make the decision to turn around and come back to shore, that was horrible. Really, you know, gut-wrenching, because you know that you're effectively turning your back on them, and they're just carrying on helpless, floating out to sea.
I was terrified. I didn't think we'd get them back. Although I was saying they're going to be okay, we're going to get them back, I think the majority of me didn't think that they would get back safely. I couldn't see how they were going to get them back safely.
As a parent, you can definitely understand how the parents on the beach might be feeling, and it gives you a bit more pressure and yeah, a bit more urgency to get there.
The D-Class crew raced to reach the girls before they're swept out any further into the Bristol Channel. A Coast Guard helicopter out on a training exercise has also arrived to assist.
We kind of thought, oh, that's reassuring. There's a helicopter on scene. But helicopters and inflatables don't always go together. And obviously the crew and the helicopter are fully aware of that, so I think they were kind of keeping a safe, watchful distance just to make sure that their downdraft didn't interact with the inflatable.
After sprinting over half a mile out to sea, the D-Class approaches the Swan. The larger Atlantic class holds back in case the wake from its 2 large engines causes the inflatable to capsize.
As you're approaching, I'm kind of thinking, they don't look very old at all, and if one of them decides that they're going to swim to the boat, I don't know if they can even swim, actually. They looked so young.
The helm, Phil, signals to the girls to stay where they are.
I was thinking, I hope they're sensible enough to understand that actually they're best way of being saved is to stay on that inflatable until somebody can get to them.
We could only see a white dot. We didn't know that they were still on it. We didn't know if they'd tried to jump off to swim back.
Please be sensible. Are you on it? Hold each other.
I knew they'd be terrified. We were terrified, but that would be nothing to what they were feeling out there.
Stay there, and we get you on the boat.
We knew they were children, but when we got to the inflatable, it was a bit of a shock that they were so young and so distressed. It's never nice seeing kids that upset.
They looked very young, very vulnerable, and I thought, you are a long way out at sea.
Grab hold of it. Where's your mummy? Your mummy's over there.
We took them on board and stuck life jackets on them.
So we're going to put a life jacket on you. Is that all right? Okay.
And spoke to them and just made sure they were all right. In which time they relaxed completely.
And then we're going to go and see if we can find your mummy and daddy, all right?
I'll show you how this works. Right, so
They were trying to communicate about their day on the beach, and it was a child's account of what happened, and it sounded like they were having fun, and then the parents were gone.
We were on the swan, and then my daddy, one girl fell off the swan, then daddy got see it, and then the swan went, and it laid
because
away.
the wave pushed his hand off.
Yeah.
you tell us if you get really cold.
I was scared. I was really, really scared.
Yeah.
You hold on to that one with two hands. Yeah.
Funny thought we wouldn't survive in there. We had any drink or no food. And I said, I want my mummy and daddy. And you said, I want your dad to do it.
So we want you to stay in the boat, OK, even if you see mummy and daddy, and we'll tell you when you can get out. Is that OK? All right?
You have to Sean doing this, and I'll stay with you.
Yeah. Just going to stick it up a bit. You all right, Sean?
That was a great feeling. We pulled the boat up the beach, and I think I asked the girls to sit in the boat just until we sort of kind of got it stable. And immediately this bloke and this woman, who looked a very distraught woman, come running up to us.
Right, are you the parents?
And, you know, what a joy to be able to hand a child back to them. Yeah, it's a great privilege, so, yeah.
That's all right. A little bit of a strong offshore wind today.
You know, it's hard not to be emotional when you've got something like, you know, kids being reunited with mothers. It's a bit, yeah, it gets to you a bit.
Was amazing to see them and to see that they were completely unhurt.
Just, I don't know how to describe it, but the feeling of just, you can't hug them tight enough. It's, you can't describe it, you can't put it into words that, you know, that your girls are safe, they're okay.
And they were really brave to stay on it. So
It said stay on, do not get off.
Oh, that's cool.
The lifeboat crew that day, without them, there's no doubt about it, we'd have lost our girls. And, you know, just heroes. So, you know, we just so thankful to them, you know, for what they did.
That day, the RNLI saved our family. Absolutely, I have full respect for them.
The D-class crew can return to station ready for their next call-out, while the volunteers on the Atlantic have successfully rescued the third casualty.
The swan got recovered to the boathouse.
Always nice to rescue a swan.
I think the parents came and picked it up a couple of days later.
We told him the swan would be at the boathouse.
Holly would not leave Minehead without Swanee. So about 8:30 on the Sunday night, we went to the RNLI boat station, which was all locked up, and we asked around and we managed to find somebody who had got a key, and we found Swanee. So Swanee was reunited with Holly.
See you back there. You want to,
At the moment is very much deflated in our garage, although I expect we haven't seen the last of Swanee yet, but she definitely will not be going anywhere near any beaches again.
The 238 lifeboat stations around the UK and Ireland are often at the centre of the communities they serve, and often are a big part of the lives of the volunteers who serve there.
He knows what he's doing, look at that, he's a pro.
The RNLI is definitely like a family, and that's a really good way of describing it.
Hello, Bobby J.
It's a cliche to say it's a second family, but it really is.
Do they do extra life? I'm sure it's fair.
There's a huge sense of family. Everyone knows everyone.
Got some bread with your butter. I know he's not really funny.
Crew is always like a family. You come together to make one.
You can have spats with family members or not see eye to eye, but actually you still have a bond.
I think we are like a family, and I do have lots of family members in the crew.
First of all, there was my granddad, then my dad, who's on the crew for 14 years, and then my stepdad, he's boat crew as well, so I'm kind of following in their footsteps.
Is anybody volunteering?
It's not only volunteering to help others, being with the lifeboat crew is part of my social life, so it's very, very important.
Hello, babe. All right.
You know, you can come down and the relationship that you can have between the crew is a relationship that you don't want to end.
In fact, probably get on better with some of the crew members than I do my family.
The Scottish fishing port of Thurso is the most northerly town of the mainland United Kingdom, with a population of just 8,000.
It's quite a close community. Everyone sort of knows everyone, and if they don't know you, they'll soon find out who you are.
Thurso would be cut off from the larger cities, you know, it's very quiet up here.
Thurso looks out across the turbulent waters where the North Sea and the North Atlantic meet.
We've got a notorious Pentland Firth, which is it's a narrow channel between Orkney and the mainland. And what happens is when the tide ebbs and flows, it funnels in, and so there's normally a strong tide. With a combination with a big wind, it can have quite big seas running.
We're quite open, so norwesterly and northerly winds can be quite bad for us, as there's nothing between us and the Faroes to stop it coming in.
As the only lifeboat station on the far north coast of Scotland, the Thurso cruise patch covers miles of rugged and unforgiving coast.
What I would say is unique about here is the remoteness, you know, and as a lifeboat, we've got a vast range of sea that we cover.
In towns this remote, the lifeboat station plays a key role in many people's lives, and Thurso is no exception.
Great coffee.
It's more like a family-orientated crew, I think. You know, I think it's the same with all the lifeboat stations up north, really, you know. There's sort of some kind of family member or sort of connection to the RNLI.
Crew-wise, pretty much I've got a father or a son, or a nephew or an uncle or a cousin. Myself, there's my eldest lads on the crew, and I think that's just lifeboat tradition. Father and son, grandson, and before you know it, the whole family's on it, some shape or form.
November. High winds, temperature close to freezing, weather closing in.
It was westerly. I think it was about 4-7. We had everything at the snow, hailstones, rain, but there's quite a big swell.
The Thurso crew receive an emergency call from the Coast Guard. A mayday call has come in from a local crabbing boat.
First information that we got was it was a fishing vessel 28 miles west of Minehead. Apparently they fouled his propeller with fishing gear.
Thurso launched their 7-class all-weather lifeboat. Soon it's ploughing into the heavy seas of the Pentland Firth.
So we're getting up towards Cape Wrath, very open, exposed, no shelter from any of the sort of wind direction that we had that day for them.
19-year-old volunteer crew member Chris has been on a few shouts, but never one in seas like this.
If, you know, the heart starts pumping, the adrenaline sort of kicks in, and you just get really safe and fast as possible. You know?
As the crew head west, the storm worsens, as does the news from the stricken fishing boat. It's been forced closer and closer to shore and potential disaster.
When we was told that he was 3.5 miles offshore, we decided to give a bit more throttle.
Ploughing the 42-ton 7-class at top speed through 6-metre sea swells makes heavy going.
It's a bit like getting whiplash every sort of 10 seconds. You sort of like punch and then your head gets flicked forward and it goes back again, and you're constantly like trying to keep yourself on the seat using your legs and your arms.
Nobody's really speaking any with this, you know. You're sort of concentrating, you're thinking, just go there, get your job done.
It's now a race to reach the fishing boat before she and her crew of 6 are wrecked on the rocky shoreline. But in these conditions, the coxswain Dougie must balance the need to get on scene as fast as possible with the risk to his own boat and safety of his crew.
I don't really take risks. I won't risk 7 crew. You just can't do it.
So we tried to put the speed on it a bit initially, but then we had to shut it back to about 12 knots because he just sheer knock in the boat was taken from the waves and also a crew inside.
Two hours after the Mayday call came in, the 7-class arrives on the scene just in time. The fishing boat is now just 2 miles from shore and drifting towards it faster than ever.
I'd say probably another half an hour to an hour, and I reckon it should have been sort of crumbling on the rocks.
Worst case scenario of them going ashore is the loss of life. And there were 6 on board, so we wanted the tow to be connected as quick as possible.
To get a tow line across, coxswain Dougie must now precisely position the 56-foot 7-class alongside the fishing boat in the huge swell.
He's got to judge what the waves are doing. He's trying to get himself so as when the tow rope is thrown, the wind will assist it.
The waves will probably be 6-7 metre waves. At 1 minute we could be up on the peak of a wave and casualty could be at the trough, and then seconds later it swaps about.
So you're watching what that vessel's doing, you're watching what our boat's doing. He's having to work all that out in his head. He's also having to watch what's going on the deck, making sure the crew are not getting themselves into any problems.
Sort of seeing all the big waves and that coming towards you, and you're sort of, I wouldn't really see you're panicking, but you're sort of kind of on the edge a bit, you know.
Waiting for that one point where everything sort of is in the right sequence of the boat being at the right height, boat being at the right distance, wind direction just right, so they can throw the heaving line with the hope that first time round it all happens in one go.
The daunting job of throwing the line across to the fishing boat is given to volunteer crew member Lewis.
There is a lot of responsibility on you. You're wanting to get it first time, you know, and I mean, if you miss it, it's just hassle. You've got to heave back in and realign and things like that.
Lewis gets the line across to the fishing boat on the first throw. Now the crew are entering one of the most dangerous phases of a tow.
Once we've got the tow established, first thing is, before any real sort of weight comes on it, is everybody's took off the deck and brought into the wheelhouse, because there's always that risk of the tow rope parting, the recoil of the rope coming back. And if that hits you, then it could be quite a serious injury, or even ultimately death if it hits you in the wrong place and does something seriously to you.
The tow rope is holding. Now they must start hauling the fishing boat back through waves up to 30 foot high to the safety of harbour.
Trying to tow him, it's quite hard, especially in a swell, because you've got your boat up on top of this wave and you've got him down, so you've got the slack.
And just with the way the waves were working, the tow rope was constantly sort of coming under a stretch.
The fishing boat is a specialist crabber with a large water tank inside to keep their catch alive. At full capacity, this vessel can weigh up to 90 tons, more than twice that of the 7 class. In seas this big, that puts a huge strain on the tow rope.
We was towing away quite a thing, and then we heard the crack.
It was just such a heavy vessel, the tow parted. You're sort of cursing a little bit, because you know you've got to go out and you've got to haul in the tow line, see what remains of it, and you've got to go through the establishing the tow process again.
Dougie must again bring the lifeboat dangerously close to the fishing vessel, and the crew must head back on deck in the force 9 gale.
Waves is coming about, yeah, and also you're working with lines on the deck, so it can be lethal, yeah.
Again, the tow line is caught on the first throw.
We got it re-established. We knew what it was doing. We got back underway and was heading east again. And yeah, tow snapped again a second time.
There was a few curse words come at me, yeah.
So then it's back to square one again.
To complicate things further, the weather has now taken a turn for the worse.
Yeah, sort of rain, hail, sleet.
Hailstones, they were really sore on the face. They were big ones.
And it wasn't helping because the darkness was starting to come on as well, so.
With the light fading fast, the crew reattached the line for a 3rd time before taking shelter in the safety of the wheelhouse.
We're always hoping that we establish a tow and that's it. We go inside, we shut the wheelhouse and we just sit there and wait until we get back with them.
But the tow rope breaks again. The lifeboat only has 1 rope capable of towing a vessel this size. If it snaps too many times, the crew will be forced to use their anchor chain.
I've got full trust in the kit, but you're sort of questioning, you know, why does this keep breaking?
What that means is the coxswain's got to put crew back on the deck. So every time we put people on the deck, there's that risk.
I did feel that there was someone up here that wasn't looking after us very good.
To protect the tow rope, Dougie slows down to just 4 knots. In good conditions, it would take around 2 hours to get back to harbour at this speed. Today it means towing well into the night.
It was going into the dark then. So we switched on our lights.
Suddenly, the tow rope parts once again. They must now attempt to re-establish a line to the stricken vessel in huge seas in near total darkness.
Nighttime is a lot harder, yeah. That's when you depend on your crew on the deck. And they tell you when to go ahead.
The problem you've got is that when you're then out on deck, you can't actually see what waves are coming. So you're sort of getting yourself in a position where you're a bit more stable, a bit more secure, leaning against something. So you're ready for, if that wave does come, it doesn't sort of throw you off balance.
The crew are now not the only ones forced to confront the storm out on deck. Dougie decides the only way to keep the tow rope from parting is to helm the boat from outside.
Dougie went outside and up to the upper steering position, so they're watching constantly for the strain coming on the rope and easing back a wee bit, so they're putting less strain on the rope, nursing the tow rope, and we just gently eased her along the shore.
After 9.5 hours at sea, the crew finally make it back to harbour. It's now around 10 o'clock at night.
Very relieved to be back. Yeah. Most definitely.
Oh yeah, you've got the fishing vessel back in, and I'm sure it was a relief for them as well to be back alongside.
The 6 people on the boat, yeah, there was 6 lives saved there, yeah.
So the fishing vessel came alongside. There was a diver already here. Diver was put in the water. They unfouled the prop, got the rope out, checked it all out, made sure everything was functioning right, and I think within about an hour they were heading back off to sea to start picking up the creels back up again.
"500 miles due south on the coast of North Devon is the Victorian seaside resort of Ilfracombe.
Ilfracombe is a beautiful place. The people are lovely, the scenery's lovely, and you just wonder what on earth we've done to live here, really.
Its large harbour and strategic position on the edge of the Bristol Channel made Ilfracombe an important trading port for many centuries, and there's been a lifeboat station here for nearly 180 years. These days, tourism is the town's main trade.
The North Devon coastline gives you a bit of everything, to be honest. We've got cliffs that are over 1,000 foot high. We've got some stunning sandy beaches, some pebbly little bays. It can be quite oppressive at times, but also absolutely beautiful.
It may be beautiful, but this stretch of coast can catch out those unprepared. On a spring tide, the seas here can rise 33 feet in 6 hours, the second highest tidal range in the world.
It's extremely easy to get caught out by the tide, particularly people visiting the area.
It will suddenly be right next to you before you realise.
A warm day at the end of July. The Ilfracombe crew are paged.
Our initial information was that we'd got 2 people cut off at Broadstrands.
Broadstrands Beach is a small rocky little beach just opposite Ilfracombe Pier in the actual harbour limits there.
The cliff face at Broadstrands is sheer to the top. You can walk round sort of either side at the right state of tide, but as it was on the day, there was no way out for them.
The crew have been told by the Coast Guard the casualties are a mother and child. The station's D-class inshore lifeboat is launched immediately.
The conditions on that day, we'd got a really big spring tide, which was coming in quite quickly. So we're thinking about how much time we've got to get them out of where they are.
On the Coast Guard of Gimoil, we have visual on the casualty, over.
After 2 minutes at full speed across the bay, the crew arrive on scene. But between them and the casualties, large surf is breaking on the narrow strip of shore.
It was racing up the beach, which would have been eaten up within probably the next 5 to 10 minutes. That would have disappeared.
The waters off the beach are strewn with rocks just under the surface, and in waves this big, the helm steward cannot risk taking the boat further into the shore.
The ideal situation would be to put the boat right against the beach, but due to the rocks underneath the water and a dumping surf, I decided that this was too dangerous.
Plan B is for 2 crew members to swim into shore.
Drop in and swim them out.
They will then bring the casualties back out through the surf to the lifeboat waiting just beyond the breaking waves.
Do you want me to just go in from here, mate? Okay, away.
From the shore side, walking around the harbour, it seemed like a beautiful summer's day. Kind of wondered what all the fuss was about. But as soon as he got in the water and swam through the first breaking wave, it was nasty. It's like being in a washing machine. It wasn't very nice.
We bring them both this side. We'll have a chat.
I remember walking up the beach to meet my crew member Andy. Absolutely done in by the big dumping seas I just swum through.
Having swum in through the large surf, both crew members realise how difficult it will be to get back out to the boat safely.
Hello!
But they also know they must keep the 2 casualties' spirits up.
Okay. Stephanie and Amelie. Cool. Nice to meet you.
For giving us.
That's okay, no problem.
It became apparent that weren't locals and were actually on holiday from Germany. So I was immediately panicked because I'm rubbish at German.
So the lifeboat is going to come in. Me and Andy will take one of you at a time.
But luckily they spoke very good English, understood exactly what we were talking about.
Communication may not be an issue, but both casualties are now increasingly feeling the cold. As the tide rises, the surf is getting bigger, the beach is getting smaller.
The ILB mobile.
And time is running out to get them to the safety of the boat.
It's about waist to chest height where it's breaking.
I stood on the shoreline, I was on the radio back to the boat, trying to work out a plan of action.
There's nothing too big in front of me from what I could gather swimming in.
And I suddenly felt the tide pull back.
From what I can see in the surf. 2 seconds.
And with that, the wave just took me clean out and washed me to the top of the beach.
That's a big one. Yeah, ILB mobile. I guess you just witnessed that. Is Stu 100% happy to do this?
Yeah, I'm happy to do this, Mark. After the next big set rolls through, come straight in the water then, yeah?
Yeah, roger that.
Sets of waves occur when sea swells travelling at different speeds come together to form a group, with one larger wave.
Picking your moment's crucial. You'll see the waves build and build and build, and then they'll die down.
Local conditions can cause variations, but most commonly, the biggest wave is the 7th one in a set.
So, Amelie, we're going to go with the next set once this big set's through.
Just making sure that the quiet part of the set is quiet enough to pick that moment and make a dash for it.
So if you hold my hand and hold Andy's hand, okay? Okay, let's go now then. There's too much current in here.
Worst case situation would be that she'd slip from both of our hands and, God forbid, she'd wash ashore on her own.
A break in the set emerges.
Okay, no! Okay, we'll just hold her up over it. Okay. That's Amelie, okay? We might be able to walk her out, actually. Happy?
Throwing the line was a safety precaution. Then we can help guide them back into the boat with that.
We've got her. Well done. Both got her. Okay. Okay, Stu. Okay. Okay, take her. There we go. Emily, high five. Well done. Nice one. Okay, all right.
Once we got Amelie on board, it was a big relief. It was then kind of immediate attention was then back to, right, let's get back in and get Mum aboard.
Okay, Amelie's on the boat, she's fine.
Quite easy in that situation to kind of grab the second casualty and just kind of make a run.
Leave the bag. Leave the bag, I'll come back and get it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah, positive.
They make your life easier.
But it was important to kind of stop and reassess the waves coming in.
Okay, So if you hold my hand and Andy's.
And again, just as methodically as we did with the first casualty, repeat that process and make sure that we got Mum through the waves and back out to the boat.
Just let this one come in, and just let this one come in. Okay, happy? Okay. Okay. Okay, stand here. Okay. Got you. There we go. And a little bit further. Yes. Okay, over this one. Happy? Okay. Get the line. There we go. Okay. And we'll just swim. Okay, swim for the moment. On the side. Okay, hold the handles. Well done. Okay, and straight in, ready to lift down. Go 1, 2, straight. Well done, well done. Okay, away.
We got a second casualty on board. Mark went back ashore to retrieve their belongings. We try not to leave any bags or goods behind because A, it's often got their phone, their keys, their wallets, but also because if you see a bag or clothing or anything floating at sea, you automatically can assume there should be a person along with it.
Yeah, Roger, on my way. Right.
The third rescue didn't go so well as the first two. I was doing so well for so long. Walked out through the waves, picked my moment perfectly.
Well done, well done.
And as it happened, the ILB managed to come quite close in, almost pretty much far enough for me to walk out to the boat. And I probably got within about 4 or 5 steps of the boat with the bag above my head, chuffed to bits that I got the bag back completely bone dry.
Well done, well done.
And I tripped on a boulder under the water and went straight in with it. But the main casualties were were safe on board, so that's all that mattered.
All right.
Thank you.
No worries.
The casualties, Steph and her 11-year-old daughter Amelie from Berlin, were in Devon on holiday.
Not there's any doubt.
When I saw this nice little bay next to the beach, I was surprised and said, I don't understand why no one else is lying there. It's much nicer. So I said to Amelie, maybe we're gonna have an adventure just like the famous 5. And 2 hours later, there was the adventure. We were maybe lying at the beach for a bit less than half an hour, reading our books.
And then we looked and there was everywhere water and waves.
Yes, we were on holidays, relaxing, and we hadn't really thought about the tides.
The tide was now racing in, trapping them against the steep cliffs at the back of the beach with no way out.
I became instantly very worried.
Fortunately, members of the public on the harbour wall 800 metres away saw Steph and Amelie waving and shouting for help. They immediately called the Coast Guard. The D-Class was on the scene minutes later.
As I saw this boat, I was really happy.
We were very ashamed and embarrassed when he arrived. Hello, sorry, but he was so nice and started to talk to us in a very funny and light and positive way.
So, how was Ilfracombe?
They were really pleased once we got ashore. They were kind of wrapped up nice and warm by then.
There you go. Okay, is that better?
And tried to make him feel at home, because it's always bewildering being rescued by a lifeboat crew, I should imagine, but particularly when you're on holiday in a different country, it must have been quite nerve-wracking for him.
Give me your arms. There we go. Ready? Okay. There you go.
We felt even more thankful when we realized they were volunteers. Amazing.
We explained to them this setup at the RNLI, and yeah, they couldn't believe we all had day jobs. So in conversation, we all kind of started chatting about what we do.
Really?
Mark's a singer, very, very famous singer.
Yeah, so my occupation is quite different to most of the other crew members at the station. I'm a professional singer. I have been for the last 15 years. At the moment, I've got a big theatre tour out, Michael Bublé tribute show with a live band. It's definitely a different job to the norm. When I turn up early hours of the morning with last night's makeup on, it does get some funny looks. Yeah.
Even though Mark's a natural performer, he's always a little bit shy about singing. We often wind him up.
He's really hard to make him sing for us, actually. He sung for us once. We had like a do-up at the local golf club. But no, I don't often hear him singing, unfortunately.
He's never too keen on singing without his whole orchestra, a backing track, a theatre, and us paying him about £30 a head.
Over 300 miles away on the southeastern coast of Scotland is the harbour town of Anstruther.
Fishing was like a huge part of our community going back. There's still, we got working harbours. There's a lot of boys that work on prawn boats and creel boats there.
Back in 1865, Anstruther's lifeboat station was established at the request of the local fishermen, who raised £60 towards the cost, around £7,500 in today's money.
My dad was a fisherman. He's been out in some real weather, worked for 12 days, came home for 2, and he was back away for 12. Both my granddads had their own fishing boats, so yeah, we got ties to the sea going way back. I couldn't hack as a fisherman, that's a way too hard a job for me.
26-year-old local boy George is one of the station's younger volunteers.
I've been on the crew now for around 9 years. I was definitely like a bit of a scan when I was younger. I wasn't like the best behaved kid. I think Mum and Dad kind of set me down for something to do when I was like 17 years old. And yeah, I think they thought if I go down there I might be able to straighten me up a wee bit, and it kind of has, aye.
August. Dawn is breaking over Anstruther. George has recently returned from a night shift at work.
I got back from my shift maybe around 3:30 in the morning, went to bed about 6 o'clock in the morning. My phone went. I answered, it was my dad. I was like, what's up? He's like, oh, you need to get the lifeboat to come out to me. I was like, why? He's been, I've gotten fanned up, I'm getting close to the rocks. And I was like, well, hang up, phone the Coast Guard, and then we'll come out and try and get to you. Got up, got changed, started walking down to the lifeboat station, opened the doors up, and then the pagers went off.
I'm usually first at the shed. I was shocked to see the door open, and not only just shocked that the door was open, but it was George that was standing there, because George is never first down. So on, and I'm like, what are you doing, George? And he goes, it's my dad. And I'm like, what do you mean it's your dad? It's my dad. And I'm like, how do you know it's your dad? And he goes, he phoned me. I goes, he phoned you? Did he dial 999, ask for the Coast Guard? And yeah, I told him that. He phoned me first. All right.
George's dad went out on an early morning fishing trip alone in a small boat. He's got his propeller fanned up or caught in the lines of lobster pots known as creels 3 miles up the coast. Right now, he's drifting towards the rocks with no engine power.
There was quite a lot of people turning up to the station with it being a Saturday morning, but I was definitely making sure I was getting on it that day.
He couldn't wait to go out to his dad, I don't think.
I was maybe a little bit worried about him, because it had been 10 minutes since I spoke to him on the phone, to us getting out, like, on the water. I just wanted to kind of get out to him.
As soon as you get a shout like that, fanned up near the rocks, it's always get there as quick as you can.
Once I started going out to him, I was definitely a lot happier, that I'm getting the chance to go and do something. If something is going wrong, well, it doesn't matter, because we're going to be there, we're going to try and make it better. He was about 2 miles east of the station at a place called Cape the Caves. There's plenty of rocks there. The whole coastline here is really rocky.
If a vessel ends up in the rocks around here, it might be a loss of life.
20 minutes after George was woken up by the phone call, Anne Struthers' D-class lifeboat arrives on the scene. It's immediately clear how much trouble George's dad is really in.
On the phone, he said he was at least 100 metres off the coast, but when we got there, he was definitely a lot closer.
I'd say he was a lot more like 20 metres to the rocks. If he was dragging anchor another 20 minutes maybe, we'd been on the rocks and we'd been in a different scenario, trying to get him off the rocks.
For George and Barry, the worst-case scenario now would be to get the lifeboat's propeller snarled up in the creel lines as well.
Once we got up to him, I could see there was a line coming off the back of the boat. See that line at the back there?
George and his dad were both pointing out to me that there was still rope in the water.
What's that line there, Gus?
If you get caught up and you lose engine power, you could easily get washed up onto the rocks, and so it can turn very serious getting caught up in creels.
I jumped under the boat.
Put George across. I thought I'd put George across with his dad so he can get bragging rights and that, so...
Oh, do you think yourself and that?
No, but what I do want to do is put it in gear in case there is still something that stops.
He was fine, I think he was smiling, he thought it was quite funny. I think he was expecting us to maybe take the mick out of him, but I didn't really speak to him that much because I kind of had a job to do. You know, my first thought was make sure we can get this boat towed out of here as quick as we can, really. And then I'll start taking the mick out of you afterwards. I didn't even take the mick out of him, to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, it happens. I've gotten the wee boat fanned up before. Like, it's so easy to do, like, it's ridiculous.
Dad, is the engine up? Aye, just put it up now.
My dad, I can see me in a different light. You know, probably not a lot of people get to see, you know, because I'm always sort of laughing and joking about, whereas at the lifeboat, you know, it's time to be serious.
The line secured, the D-class can now start to tow the fishing boat away from the danger of the rocks, giving George time to free the creel lines from his dad's propeller.
I think it's free now.
It's definitely not a good thing to happen. Just cuts the engine out, you've got no propulsion with your boat.
George's dad, Brian, is an experienced fisherman.
I wasn't aiming to be out long, I was only aiming to be out about half an hour. The family quite enjoy a wee lobster for the weekend. I just thought a couple of lobsters and a glass of white wine's a nice way to start your day. It didn't happen. The reason it happened was I wasn't paying attention. I pulled the first creel up, there was nothing in it. When I put the boat in gear, the rope was under the boat and it jammed the propeller, stopped the engine dead.
Aye.
I did think, I'm close to the shore, could I get this out? And I panicked, I did sort of panic.
To make matters worse, it wasn't Brian's boat. He had borrowed it from one of the family.
I wasn't wanting the brother-in-law's boat on the rocks.
Oh, I think my uncle would be pretty annoyed, like, if he ruined his boat.
His brother-in-law may be the least of Brian's worries. It turns out he hadn't been entirely honest about this fishing trip to someone even closer to home.
He went out on the boat really early because we were going away and I didn't think he had time to go out at all. So I think he thought he would go out and get in without me knowing.
Being a fisherman, you'll know, listen to people sometimes. And so I just sort of sneaked out in the morning without sort of telling Sandra I was even away out the door.
He got up early that morning to get out, hoping my mum wouldn't notice that he'd been away fishing before they were away.
And of course that didn't happen.
When you left, I heard the car go away, or the van, and then you phoned me, I'm like, what time is it? I was like, it's 6 o'clock.
Actually, the whole time I was going there, I knew I was doing the wrong thing that day. I shouldn't have bothered going, but I wanted to go.
And I think he was half expecting to come with lobster. Look what I've got. And instead he come in and went, George got me.
I was actually still sleeping. I think he came back in at 7:15 and opened the bedroom door and said, George is just, I've just had to get George to tow me in.
His cover was definitely blown, having to get us to come out and help him.
Do you need medical attention? No, are you okay? So what ambulance in?
Been a laughing the other news.
You can feel it.
Yeah, it's always been a wee joke that George will come and rescue either me or his uncle. A few people have taken the mick.
By the time we got back to station, everyone in the station knew it was Brian. We're out. I don't know about the rest of the town, but I don't think it would have taken long for people to find out.
He was really thankful to the crew, pretty apologetic for getting them all out of their bed so early on a Saturday morning.
Tell who you are, tell where to stay. He definitely done the right thing. If he had clipped the rocks, it could have escalated, could have damaged the boat, could have lost the boat, it could have been picking Brian out of the water.
Just to confirm, you definitely don't want an ambulance. Don't.
Once safely back on shore, this shout made a lasting impression on Brian.
Very impressed with George that day, very impressed with him. Well, with him that morning, I was really impressed. And I saw a side to George that was, wow.
After the shout, him seeing the crew, how we worked, I think he definitely kind of wanted to be part of that. And then following that, he ended up joining the crew.
That was definitely a trigger for me that day because it just makes me feel quite good, quite proud actually to go down and be a part of the lifeboat.
Brian didn't catch anything that day apart from the rope round his prop. But yeah, gained him as part of the team.
Like, do you want me to I was doing like round town 2 pitches, that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
You want to stand this side of me?
Yep.
I'm definitely proud of my dad joining. It's just nice to have him part of something that's been such a big part of my life, and it's hopefully can be a big part of his as well now.
It's quite good getting rescued by George, actually, it was. Because it made you think as well, proud. And if it had been somebody else, you'd have been, OK, thank you, but if it's your own son, it comes and gets you. It was probably, yeah. It's good being rescued by him. I knew I was going to be in safe hands when George was coming out for me that day. I mean, he'll no empty dishwasher in the house, but he'll come and save me quite happily. He's...
A few months after their unscheduled trip out to sea aboard Swanee, Holly and Harley are recovering well.
I'm more of a nervous wreck around Holly than I have been in the past, and I've always been a bit of a nervous wreck around Holly. She's a bit gunzo. She likes to scooter really quickly. She's an adventurous little girl. She keeps us on our toes, but definitely I watch her like a hawk now, and just appreciate every second with her because it can change in a second.
We're off on holiday next week, so there'll be plenty of water time. But I don't think she'll go in the sea. I think that'll just be the pool. And we'll maybe get a different inflatable other than a swan.
I'm never going to do that again. Never. Yeah, never.
Why not?
Because it was too scary.
I saw arms waving. I did as well.
We're too late. Not a very nice feeling.
If they can see the dog, we're thinking there's someone in the water. Where's the owner? And have they got into trouble?
We knew it was going to be different going to an island.
None of us wanted to leave an 82-year-old on an island after an incident like that.